GTA Online, a game we all know and, well, not necessarily love. This is a game that's been around for so many years, almost 10 years now, and it's safe to say that it's done pretty well during that time. It's still a very, very popular game, one of the best-selling games of all time, and also still one of the best-selling games every single month over on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC as well. This game is massive. Rockstar Games certainly haven't missed out when it comes to GTA Online. This game is so popular and still is extremely popular with an absolutely massive player base. Of course, some of this player base is over on PC using the roleplay aspects of the game, which is very popular with GTA 5, RP, everything there is absolutely massive, and the roleplay for GTA is very, very good. It's something I recommend checking out if you are on PC. It's basically, in my opinion, an improved version of GTA Online, of course depending on the type of server that you are playing in, but 5M, which is basically the main platform for roleplay in GTA 5, is definitely something that you don't want to miss out on if you do own a PC and do own GTA 5. Definitely something worth checking out. But either way, in this video, we're not focusing on roleplay, we're focusing on GTA Online in 2023. A classic phrase, the state of GTA Online in 2023. We recently did a video going over the state of Red Dead Online in 2023. I'll leave that link in the description to that video, and I'll link it at the end of this video as well if you are interested in checking that out. But in this video, we won't be looking at Red Dead, we'll instead be looking at GTA Online. Now, let's waste no more time and let's get into GTA Online in 2023 and what's in store for the future of the game as well. Let's get into it. So GTA Online, of course, launched first way back in 2013, and it didn't release on PC, interestingly, when it first released. We got the same with Red Dead Redemption 2. Something that Rockstar seems to like doing is releasing their games on consoles first so they can optimize the game a bit better for PC. But either way, in 2013, we got the game on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. And of course, this was just before we got the release of the newer consoles, of course not the newest now, but at the time the next gen consoles were PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and then a year later we did get the game on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. But before it released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, this was really sort of in a way the golden age of the game. Sure, there was a small amount of content at launch, just like there was with Red Dead Online and probably still is, but it kept expanding. Every week or every month a new update arrived for GTA Online, bringing more content, and this type of game was revolutionary at the time. It was a revolutionary game, and this changed the gaming industry forever, in my opinion. The idea of having an ever-expanding online world that was completely open world, full of other players that you could meet and different shops you could explore. It was basically a massive open world story game, but with other players. We didn't see that very often, but GTA Online at the time perfected that. It worked really, really well, and to have a game with those graphics at the time and that world size on a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360, that was impressive, and it went down very, very well. It was a very popular game, of course, like the previous GTA games, and GTA Online was something new in the industry and something very fresh that people loved. And then, yeah, we did get it releasing on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which brought a bit of new content. The only real content that was actually new at the time to get people to buy the new version was actually some races within the story mode. That was pretty much the only significant new thing that would obviously, yeah, get people to purchase the new version. But either way, it improved the game. Of course, you were getting a higher, more, established and more consistent frame rate, and of course you were getting improved graphics and more content in the future with PlayStation 4 and Xbox One if you did own one. And yeah, you got that at the time next generation version of GTA Online. And from 2015, the game was still very good. It was still getting loads and loads of updates, and it was, yeah, what I would consider the prime of GTA Online, the best time that there was to be able to play the game. The game pretty much felt as balanced as it could be. Of course, there were microtransactions and everything like that with shark cards, but overall the game was pretty balanced. There were some heists, with the apartment heist which did release in 2015. That was when we got the first heist in the game, and that was the first exclusive update for the, well, yeah, at the time next generation consoles of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. That was the first update to not release on the older 360 and PlayStation 3, which is basically, yeah, the main turning point in GTA Online, where they did ditch support, Rockstar ditched support for the older consoles and focused primarily on that PlayStation 4 and Xbox One with that heist update, which added 10 different heists all through one apartment. A very cool update that people still play to this day all these years later. And yeah, I would say this was the prime of the game. Updates just kept on getting stronger and stronger, and we started to notice this pattern where Rockstar would release 2 major updates every single year, with weekly updates every single week, which would add new discounts and bonuses, with some smaller updates throughout the year too. A few years later, we did get the F1 open wheel type race updates, which basically added, yeah, new types of races, and we got stuff like that packed all of the time within the game, along with the 2 major DLCs every single year. These would have trailers and everything like that, and loads of content with them that players could, you know, spend hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours playing through before then the next major update would release. Basically a chain of people playing the update, grinding for the next updates, playing that update, and grinding for the next one, and so on, with the smaller weekly updates with the new bonuses and discounts, you know, arriving every single week as well. And this continued and got better when we got the casino heist. This was probably at the time the biggest update there had ever been. It added a massive heist, and it also added a new point of interest, which was the diamond casino. This also improved the weekly updates for the game, since it allowed you to be able to go over to the casino and of course spin the wheel and maybe get a free vehicle, something really cool that kept players coming back every single week to the game to get their spin. And this kept people coming back not just every single week, but every single day to be able to get their daily spin of the wheel, which was, yeah, completely free. Something really clever there from Rockstar Games that worked really well. So from that, you may be thinking, well, 2019 seems like the best year for GTA Online, and in a way it was, but the year before something worse had happened. We got the Oppressor Mark II within GTA Online, a very unpopular vehicle, a monstrous vehicle within GTA Online. To put it simply, this vehicle was absolutely insane, and it was even more insane since it could be used on players in PvP within the open world of GTA Online. There were tracking missiles on this vehicle, and still are, where basically you can track an opponent and you can actually take them out easily. It could easily just take one missile, just one click on a controller, and bang, you had killed loads of people. Now this was great for completing heists, completing the setups to be able to go onto the heist. It was great for grinding. It was a really useful vehicle to have, but it was also, yeah, a very destructive vehicle as well. Players hated this, and well, it did get nerfed later on, which we'll get onto soon. But either way, this doesn't mean that the casino heist update was bad, and well, it certainly doesn't mean that, since it didn't actually arrive with the casino update, but it arrived at a similar time. So, you know, there was definitely a downfall there, but it's also important to appreciate the good update that was around that time as well. With the casino update, we first got the Diamond Casino, and then later on, a couple months later, we got the Diamond Casino heist, which was actually robbing that casino. Really cool method of doing things there, where basically, yeah, they first introduced the casino, then months later they introduced the heist for taking out that casino. Really cool stuff. And then we actually got an even better update, in my opinion, which was the KO Perico update. This added a submarine to the game, and what people hoped would be a map expansion, and pretty much was a map expansion, just not to the open world, where of course we got a brand new heist location of the KO Perico Island. This was by far the most hyped up GTA Online update of all time, and it definitely lived up to the majority of that hype. It worked well, it was a very popular update, and it lasted about a year in terms of content and people playing it until the hype did start to die down. A massive update that Rockstar certainly made a lot of money from. But that's sort of where things slowed down. From then on, of course, we did get the hype for the expanded and enhanced version of GTA Online. But it wasn't that popular since, well, it didn't actually change that much. Of course, it added the new 60 frames per second, which was, you know, godly within GTA Online for those next-gen consoles. But if you weren't on a PlayStation 5, then it wasn't free. Over on Xbox, you did have to pay for this. And not only that, it wasn't even available on PC. You still can't get it on PC. So PC players are missing out on a bit of extra content. But even then, the extra content isn't that significant. So it was quite disappointing with Expanded and Enhanced that A, it wasn't cheap. And considering that you did have to pay for it, it was quite disappointing that all it really added was the next gen features that other games had been receiving for absolutely free. And since then we have had, in what my opinion are much smaller major updates. The Perico heist was actually the final heist that we have had for GTA Online, not necessarily the last, but the most recent one we had, and that was at the end of 2020, and we're getting to near the end of 2023, and we still haven't got another heist. Maybe in 2023 we will get another heist, but at the moment it doesn't look like that will be the case, but of course I could be wrong. But either way, in my opinion, since the Perico heist, updates have got smaller. That's not necessarily a bad thing though. The updates haven't been bad, they've just been not as good in my opinion as before. The main problem I would say with the updates is the drip-fed content. So if you don't know what drip-fed content is, it's basically content that gets added to the game but isn't actually available to players until later on when Rockstar actually make it available. And basically, Rockstar would advertise loads and loads of stuff with a new update. We see this a lot with the Criminal Enterprises update and the brand new update of the Los Santos Drug Wars, where loads of content is advertised but it's not even available at day one. In some some cases, you're having to wait about 6 months for a vehicle to actually be available to players, which is just ridiculous in my opinion. We did used to get this with the other updates, but it wasn't as significant as it has been with the newer updates, and basically they don't actually add that much content on day one. You can finish pretty much everything in a couple of hours, and then you're waiting months and months for the other content to release, which in my opinion is really disappointing. And even then, the updates are still smaller overall than what we have had in previous years. But of course, that is completely understandable, when I have no doubt that the development team for GTA Online is only getting smaller and smaller, since of course Rockstar's main focus is probably with the next entry in the Grand Theft Auto series, which we all know is GTA 6. So I can understand that the updates are getting smaller. A bit of communication on that would be nice, but it's quite understandable when of course GTA 6 is probably becoming Rockstar's main focus. But since the launch of the Impressor Mark II, we did actually get some nerfs to it. It now can't be locked onto when it comes to locking onto other people, other players. You can't lock onto them, and there are a limited amount of missiles, and the missiles also aren't as good as they used to be in terms of power and tracking and everything like that, and speed. So that is definitely a plus side. The Impressor Mark II isn't as powerful. It's still pretty OP, but it's nowhere near as good as it used to be, but it's still very, very good in terms of completing missions with the AI. So a very useful vehicle that I would say is definitely much more balanced than it used to be, but still not perfect. But either way, the game in 2023, I would say, is in a decent state. As a beginner, it could almost be overwhelming. There's so much content there, which is great. But as a veteran, if you have played the game, played all the content, then of course you will notice things starting to slow down, and you're probably getting a bit bored of the game, which is completely understandable. It's been out for almost 10 years. But I do think it's a great game still in 2023, and of course still a very, very, very popular game that is definitely worth playing with in 2023. So in terms of the future, I really don't know. Whether we'll get, another 3 years of updates, maybe we'll get another 5 years, but I do think about 2 to 3 years of updates for GTA Online, of significant updates, is what we're likely to see before content really does start to slow down even more than it already has, as we get the launch of GTA 6 in what I would assume would be maybe 2024 or 2025. But either way, that's how I see things, and that's how I think the future of GTA Online will go, with just a couple years left of support before we do move on to the next game, which of course I think most players are ready to move on to. But either way, that does just about wrap up things here. I do think GTA Online is a great game, and it plays very, very well within 2023, especially of course on those next generation consoles and PC. And still, the game does receive update for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One as well, which is nice to see, but the game is becoming pretty unplayable on those consoles, which is also disappointing to see. But either way, that does just about wrap up things here. On screen now, you are seeing a link to a video where I go over the state of Red Dead Online within 2023, so hit the link on the screen if you are interested in watching that.